What's up, Sigma males? This is Alex from Sigma Spirit, and today I'm going to talk about meditation, mindfulness, presence, awareness, all of that stuff. And before we slip into a sort of meditative state and you lose focus on your mind, I want to remind you to make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're new here and you like this kind of content for Sigma males. Sigma Male Toolbox, the roadmap to success. Or if you've been here a while, make sure you like the video so that others can see it. So, I want to talk about mindfulness and my experience over the last year of my life has been pretty chaotic, and it's been chaotic for many people. About a year and a half ago, various things in my life sort of conspired against me, and a lot of changes occurred. There were a lot of transitions, and it was very painful for me. And there were health problems, family problems, career problems. There was a point in my life where I felt like nothing was going right. And even today, there are times when I catch myself where I start thinking about that, like, oh, nothing's going right. But back then it really felt like that, and I couldn't get past it. It was a very dark depression. It was a very dark place for me, and I didn't know how to get through it. And you read all about this stuff when you're in a dark depression. You're having suicidal thoughts. You have no purpose. You can't see the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. You can't listen to people who are trying to help you, and you find yourself in these deep rabbit holes trying to fix yourself. But as a Sigma male, as someone like you, I feel I have a powerful brain. And I don't say that necessarily as a good thing, because in this video I want to tell you why having a powerful brain can actually work against you. So with this powerful brain, I decided one day that I would solve my depression, I would solve my anxiety, and I would do so by being smarter than it. And so what I did was I created this mind map where I just mapped out all my thoughts, and I started to map out what's wrong, what could be the reason, what could be the one reason that I'm depressed, why am I having these thoughts, why am I anxious, why can't I sleep, why am I so desperate right now in my life? And so I set out to find that one thing, but it soon became very obvious that it wasn't one thing. And so I created this map, and at first I started on the outside. I looked at what's going on in my life around me. What am I eating? Is it exercise? Am I allergic to something? Am I doing this substance or this drug that's not helping me? Or is this medicine hurting me? And then I started to look at my career and the people I was around and various things like that. And then I started to look inside. Is there something wrong with me? Have I not lived into my potential? And I can still find that mind map to this day, although it doesn't have the power it did. But one of the things I would write often would be not living into my potential. Is that why I'm depressed? Because I'm not at my potential? Is it because I'm Sigma male? So this was all stuff that I wrote out, and I constructed this mind map where I thought that I would figure out my unhappiness through this machine. But I had this crazy epiphany after months of having this mind map, and it was just sitting there on my Google Drive and just sort of collecting digital dust. It's just sitting on that Google Drive. And from time to time I would look at it and think, okay, this is it. This is the path. This is where the key to my unhappiness is. All I have to do is just, I don't know, but it's there. I know it's there. And I would get crippled by looking at this mind map. The mind map had solutions as well as reasons. Stop eating gluten. Exercise more. Do more trauma release. Go out and meet people. Have more sex. And yet the solutions would never happen, because solutions require you to get off your ass and go do something. But that's not the real reason why the mind map failed for me. it failed for me for one reason, and that's because of the entire foundation for which this mind map was built, or should have been built, wasn't actually there. And I realized this foundation about a month ago. I had a very dark day, incredibly dark day, and maybe one day I'll talk about how dark it was, but you can use your imagination and think about how dark it would have been for this to happen. And then I went to bed thinking that I wasn't sure if I was going to wake up in the morning. And when I woke up, I felt like something had died within me. I felt like voices had died. Part of my brain had died. Like this identity of this person who was depressed had died. And I remember waking up and thinking, there's a lot less going on up there. There's a lot less happening. There's a lot less chatter. And so the first day, it was a Saturday, and I remember thinking, okay, something happened. This sometimes can happen after a big sort of outpour of emotions. You know, when you cry, you can feel better afterwards. So I thought maybe it was just one day. And then another day passed. Still, I remember walking around outside and smelling things I hadn't smelled in a long time, and noticing various senses and things like that. And then slowly the epiphany started to realize, and that is that I was trying to fix a broken computer, my mind, with the very computer that's broken, my mind. So after a few days of walking around in this sort of awakened state, I realized that something actually had just cracked within me. Something had broken. And then I started to realize that presence and mindfulness, awareness, this meditative state where you're taking in everything, is the foundation for anything you want to do to solve any mental health problems. And this sort of flipped the triangle, the paradigm on its axis, because for a long time I thought that mindfulness was just a piece of the mind map that would save me from this depression, this anxiety, when in reality it is, by Pareto's principle, maybe it's not 80, but majority of my own personal salvation is mindfulness. And so I had this epiphany over a week, and it was actually a week where I was like, wow, this is it. This is the real deal. And of course, I'm not fully enlightened. Things changed. Things got back to normal. But I don't think I can ever go back to where I was, where I believed that I was my thoughts. Sure, I get wrapped up all the time in my own thoughts. That's normal. But when these things happen to you, you start to realize, maybe just 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, that you're just a bundle of thoughts, and that you're not actually thoughts. It's just an illusion, that you are consciousness. You are the present moment. You are awareness. And through that, you really are God. You are divine through that. And I think that's why we need mindfulness. I think in today's world, we are the most mind-dominated humans that have ever come. And that might be due to our own natural evolution as humans. I don't know how humans thought and behaved 2,000 years ago. Maybe it's a small difference, but I think a lot of it has to do with media, social media, tech, stimulants, and stimulation. I think all of those things are the antithesis of mindfulness. So my experience with something like coffee or other stimulants, it's a lot easier for me to have a very mindful day, including something like a mindful shower. This is something I talked about a lot when I quit coffee for a couple weeks. I quit all caffeine for a couple weeks. The first thing I noticed when I quit was the fact that I could take a shower and I had less than sometimes one shower thought. When I have lots of coffee, lots of stimulation, I have about 5 shower thoughts. And when I have these shower thoughts, I have to run out of the shower when I'm done and write them down. So this kind of stimulation and stuff is taking us away from the present moment. And I think that's why in today's world we have the most mind-dominated people ever. And you can look around you and notice how problematic this is in society. Mind connects to identity. Identity connects to ego. And then you have these egos walking around. Everybody's a walking ego. Everybody's an identity. Instead of getting to the core of it and understanding that we are consciousness. It doesn't make sense for a lot of people to talk like that. It doesn't sound good to tell people, hey, you're not your identity. But it's reality. And this is what people have been studying for thousands and thousands of years. And the happiest people on earth, scientifically proven, are people that understand this concept. So, what does that mean for you as a Sigma male? Well, why do we need mindfulness? My story is great and you may enjoy it. It's nice to hear, but you might be wondering, okay, but I'm not depressed, I'm not anxious. But I think that as a Sigma male, you are susceptible to this mind domination, this identification with an ego. And egos can be harmful, they can be beneficial, depending. But at the end of the day, they are an illusion. When all is said and done, the ego is an illusion. So when you look at Sigma males, I see weaknesses, but I also see a lot of strengths. So let's look at weaknesses first. How would mindfulness help weaknesses? For one, you've got overthinking. Sigma males are analytical. We're intelligent. But that can go too far. Add a little bit of stimulation, a little lack of self-control, and you've got a mind that's just spiraling out of control, being hazardous. This is something I thought about recently, that nobody tells you that as you increase your intelligence, you also have to increase your consciousness. And if you don't do that, if you don't evolve both simultaneously, that's why you get incredibly smart people who end up incredibly depressed, suicidal. Because if you don't grow this intelligence, you don't grow this brain power with a coordinating level of consciousness and awareness and understanding of the present moment, things like that, the ability to turn it off, it's very hazardous. And I think of Sigma males when I think of that. It's like we have this incredible supercomputer, like all humans, except we let ours get spiraling out of control all the time. And for Sigma males, we're also sensitive. We can have that sensitive side, that abstract, empathetic, and compassionate side. And if you don't bring mindfulness to that, then I think that can translate into weakness. When you're sensitive like that without mindfulness, then you get things like being reactive and weak. You can't make decisions because you're just so bogged down in this realm of possibilities, these sensitive possibilities, these possibilities that are made true by imagining, using compassion. So when I think of Sigma male strengths, I think that they're all compounded by mindfulness. You've got all these things within you. You've got this independence. You've got this intelligence, a certain creativity about you, a certain mystery, a certain charisma, a certain confidence, like all people, like all men need. And all of those things are made more powerful through mindfulness. So that's why I think that Sigma males are in desperate need of mindfulness, like all humans. We all need to focus on the present moment. We all need to be here a little more. So my solution for this is presence, awareness, mindfulness. And that can manifest in meditation. But I don't want to put too many labels on what we call it. It doesn't matter if you go play sports, maybe you play volleyball, and for the whole volleyball game, you're 100% aware. You're in the zone. You're in that flow state. And then someone like me tells you need to go meditate. And you're like, but I already have my meditation. So meditation can take the form of anything. And I don't want to impart any kind of style of meditation, but the purpose of it is what you should focus on. What we should all focus on. It's that awareness, that presence, that zone, that flow. So a lot of people do guided meditation, and I think that's incredible. I have a channel, Mindful Wave Studio, just for guided meditations, visualization exercises. And I think those are very powerful resources for people, but it's not really for awareness. It's not really for that present moment, that mindfulness being around you. So I encourage you to go do guided meditation, but understand it's going to be different than having that mindfulness here. It's just a tool. Whereas to me, and this is my opinion, mindfulness is the foundation. Guided meditations are just one of the tools. So the important thing to remember about mindfulness is not to complicate it, not to make it more difficult or more abstract than it needs to be. It's about being here. And for me, when I want to be here, whether that's because I need to be, because I'm waiting in line for something and I want to be in the present moment, or I'm about to shoot a video, I need to get really present, or I'm meditating, I'm doing traditional meditation, I really focus on 4 things. The first thing, I start to notice my breath. And at first you force your breaths. And you're the person who's causing that breathing. And then sort of let control go of that. And then observe your breath until you're just breathing on your own. And then I scan my body while breathing. And I combine those 2 things. And I start to let my mind, energy, focus go to various parts of my body. Maybe my fingertips, and then down to my toes. And I just let it feel a little warm. Bring your energy there, your mind's energy, while you're also focusing on breathing. And then I start to listen around me while breathing, while scanning my body, letting that pulse just go through. And I start listening for various noises that are happening all around. But also, I'm listening for that space that's in between noises. And then the last part is start to listen inside. And I start to ask myself, what's my next thought going to be? While breathing, while feeling your body, while listening. And that's awareness. And when you start to ask yourself, what's my next thought going to be? At first, maybe it feels like nothing. And then maybe you find yourself having 10 seconds between asking yourself, what's my next question? Or what's my next thought? Between actually thinking something. And then soon that 10 seconds turns into a minute maybe. And I want to remind you that the point of life is not to become this enlightened being where you're always in this present moment state. You don't have to worry about that. What you have to worry about is just getting a little better, improving a little bit. Maybe yesterday you spent 1 minute, only 1 minute of your day was in awareness. And today you want to reach 1 minute 30 seconds. So to me it's just that small improvement, because like any good habit, it's not all or nothing. If you increase 1%, that's a 1% increase in your life, satisfaction, quality, all that stuff. So tell me what you think of meditation. Do you guys meditate? How does it help you? But also I want to know what you do that's a meditation. What do you do that's your version of meditation? So let me know in a comment. And I'll see you on the next one. And I hope that you can find some awareness, some presence, some mindfulness, and get out of here and get out into the world. Get out into this moment. Thanks for watching.